and we're going to start the session. Hopefully you all enjoy it. So I'm going to hand over to James, who should be on the call now.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Ian, thanks very much. If you can hear me, can you give me a wave on screen, everyone? Thank you very much. I'd like to congratulate Les Towler for having what looks like an amazing burger for dinner there. I'm envious. So I'm going to move you off my screen because I haven't eaten yet. Look, as introduced, and I'm sorry about that picture of me on screen. That was me 7 or 8 years ago. I don't look that young anymore. Well, my wife tells me that I don't look that young anymore. So look, like you, I'm a volunteer. I'm chairman of Army Rugby. I've been a council member for the Army for the last 7 or 8 years. And I was asked to look after adult player registration about 2 years ago. When I'm not doing this, I'm refereeing in Hampshire or coaching mini rugby. I'm fortunate to be married to a far more talented rugby player in my wife, Helen, who keeps me straight on these matters. But look, thank you for being here tonight. You're going to hear from the rest of the team who've got the detail. I just wanted to set up the conversation. For me, primarily, we are taking what is currently a paper-based analog system and digitalizing it. You all have to register your players in most circumstances. We're doing that and putting it on your phones, your iPad, your computer to put us in the 21st century and to form the foundation of what will be a bigger and better digital offer in the future. And this is the beginning of that journey. But I'd just like to stress, this is not a new thing. This is an old thing made better by making it digital. And that's primarily what we're trying to do. We're adding a few bits and pieces on here and there where we can, but understand, please, that this is the beginning of a journey. I'd like to reassure you that this is a big deal. This has gone through the council members who represent you in the game, the 53 of them who you all voted to be there, who are also volunteers, who have guided this through for the last 2 years, and a couple of Fridays ago gave it another degree of acceptance to push it forward for delivery this summer. So please don't think this is some group of people you've never met or don't understand who are paid. These are the volunteers who represent you and I in the game who have taken this forward. And I've been very delighted to lead the small team to take the particular bits of detail. It has RFU board oversight, council agreement, and the subject matter experts in communications and technology are spending all their time and resources on it. And it is well resourced. I'd also like to reassure you, for those of you who have a bit of a downer on GMS, game management system, and I understand many of you will, this is a better version. This is more invested in. This is more tested. And it's my job and many others people to make sure that the testing and the validity of this really is up to scratch, so we don't disappoint anybody when we start the season. My absolute focus, now we've got the regulations drafted, is to make sure that the technology works for you. I'm not a tech expert. Sam, John, Con, etc. They are, and I absolutely trust them in what they're doing and the process they're doing to get there to make it work for you, the volunteers in the game. My last point is, I understand you're thirsty for detail, and there's plenty of it coming. Tonight is as equally about the philosophy of how and why as about what you have to do. But primarily, we want to buy you in to make sure you understand what is in it for you and the game and everyone, what you can benefit from. And then also, of course, to make sure that we get early this registration of people's email addresses so we actually know who we're going out to and we get that email sign-on. So that's enough for me. I'm staying here throughout. I'd love to help with the questions and answers. If you want to get hold of me personally, you certainly can. But rest assured, this is taking the game forward and we really look forward to your help. That's enough for me. Back to the team.
Thanks, James. I'm going to hand over to Matt now. He's going to take you through the next part of the session, guys.
Thank you, Ian. If you can move us on a slide. Nice to meet everybody. I'm Matt Bryan. I've been at the RFU for nearly 20 years, and the role I'm currently in, I'm privileged to be so, as player registration manager, overseeing the implementation of this project ready for the summer. So first of all, it's probably worth establishing what is this and what is adult player registration in this current guide. And essentially, it's from the 1st of July this summer, where all adult players at all levels and in all formats at our member clubs will be able to register to play rugby. And they'll be able to do that from the 1st of July. You can see a little caveat on there where we're going to be launching the specific non-contact registration version of that in April 25. So that gives us a real advantage to do that at the start of what is typically their season, i.e. April. And it also gives us a real good opportunity to make sure that we've got the right size lens on the contact registration, which is coming in this summer. From the 1st of August is essentially when the regulations will go live, and those will be regulation 13 and 14. And it is at that point, from a regulatory point of view, that all adults, again, in all levels and across all formats, again, excepting that caveat for non-contact registration, will be required to register to play rugby. So what are the key changes then? So as James rightly said, there's a lot more detail to come on this, and we've got all of that ready to come to you when the time is right and it's been through the governance training that people would expect and the council approval that James also outlined as well. But the three key changes in terms of what we're moving from and to is that many of you will know that that player registration is currently a club-led process, and that is by where clubs register players on their behalf. We will be moving from that, where players will be registering themselves to play rugby, and at least instigating that to register to play rugby with their club. Currently, in regulation, again, as many of you will know, the only people who need to register from a regulation point of view are those that will play in RFU League and Cup Rugby, and those are currently the only ones that need to be registered. And as I just covered on the previous slide, we'll be moving from that eventually to all players at all levels and in all formats being required to register to play rugby. And we're moving from where we currently have, where players need to be registered once, so we can have somebody maybe is registered today, or somebody's maybe registered 20 years ago, their registration is lying dormant, where players will renew, and that's the real key word here. They will not need to fully register each year. They will need to renew the registration that they've already done for that first time. So the example there would be someone will register from the 1st of July this summer, and they would basically go in, tick a box in the subsequent seasons thereafter and say, yes, I'm still here. So it's very much a renewal of that registration, definitely not a full re-registration. So those are the three key things to focus on in terms of what we're moving from and to. So why are we doing it? So basically, it's for these four things. We rightly get challenged from the game in terms of staff, in terms of how do we understand the health of the game and where can we make an impact, whether that be on player retention and player recruitment. Currently, as I covered on the previous slide, all players don't need to register to play rugby. So there's a big cohort of players out there that we don't know who they are. We don't know what their behaviour is. Neither can we contact them to be able to encourage them to play more and retain them in the game. This is a real benefit to this project and a real opportunity for them to be able to do that. A real big thing that we're often challenged on as well, and again rightly so, is how are we addressing that transition from age grade rugby into adult rugby? And this will give us a real opportunity to be able to do that, where we'll be able to directly contact players because they'll all be registered and they'll all have verified email addresses, which Ian will cover in a few moments. It'll give us an opportunity to communicate with those players and help them from that transition from age grade into senior rugby, which I know an awful lot of people are really keen about, as are we, of course. And the other side of things is, it gives us an opportunity for to be able to communicate with players and send them information which is relevant to help them keep them playing. So, for example, we may be able to send to players, once we've got them registered and we know who they are, information on how to stay fit, or even societal tips in terms of how to keep playing rugby and spinning those plates and juggling those things in family life and busy working lives. It will give us an opportunity for us to send them tips on how to keep playing rugby, and it will also give us an opportunity to send them things such as rehab information. So an example could be, if they don't get that information, they could be out from playing for your club for 10 weeks, but maybe with some information we could send their way, they may be able to get back to playing rugby that little bit quicker. Again, giving you, the clubs, the opportunity to have more players at your disposal to be able to play for your clubs. And of course, many of you, I'm sure, would have heard around the Platform for Rugby programme Wide that we're doing. And this is very, very much a part of that in our digital transformation, where we'll be able to have those digital relationships with players, help support people from age grade rugby into senior rugby, and again, better understand those players that we currently don't know what they're doing, to be able to support them to play rugby a little bit more at your clubs. Specifically, the benefits for players, it's pretty much an expectation and common practice these days that people take control of their own accounts. So I don't know about you, but sadly, nobody when I need to travel, nobody buys my train tickets for me. I sign up and do them myself, just like you guys have all signed up in your massive numbers this evening for the webinar. It's the same expected practice from our players in terms of what they would expect to see. They expected to be able to take ownership of their own playing data and their own rugby profile. Again, it gives us that chance to be able to get our data reporting more accurate, so that the RFU can support clubs and CBs and invest in the right areas to be able to support adult rugby. And we are making sure, and as James I highlighted at the start, this is the largest thing that we've ever tested, or it's the most comprehensive test that we've ever done. Testing has already started on the platform, and we are going to make sure that this is a quick and easy and user-friendly process for players to be able to do. And then looking forward, again, linked to that platform for rugby piece, is once we're able to get this underway and get our players registered, we'll be able to provide specific contact to players that a lot of our players are already expecting to see, and indeed some of them are already benefiting from other sports where we're probably a little bit behind the eight ball here, where they'll be able to see their stats, they'll be able to get tailored communications, and they'll be able to get those tips and all those kind of things that will help them to continue to play rugby, which is of course what we all want them to be able to do. So our volunteers, one of the very, very key things of this, and we've heard this for a number of years. So before I was in this role, I was in a competitions role, and what always used to come across loud and clear was the burden of registering players on their behalf to play rugby. What we will be moving from, of course, is that to where players will register themselves and take control of their own data. Now, we recognise that the sharing of that workload, or that benefit of sharing that workload, will be something that we will realise in the medium term. And we accept with the steps that hopefully you've already seen in the article that's been out a few weeks ago, and what Ian will run you through shortly, is that there is a short-term focus where we need to make sure that our players get verified and accurate email addresses into their GMS account. And that is really, really crucial. And that's why, whilst it's not the most glamorous activity we're focusing on tonight, it is absolutely essential that we get those verified email addresses in players' GMS accounts, because without that, they will not be able to access the registration platform. So we make no apologies, I guess, for focusing on that really boring and potentially mundane activity, but it is really, really crucial to the success of the project. And like I say, we'll be able to, once this is underway, we'll be able to provide players with more content, which they tell us they would like to see. Again, linked to that piece that I talked about there in terms of helping and supporting them to play more rugby, should they choose to do so, of course, and indeed for longer. Again, benefiting us all, because we'll get more players playing rugby within our clubs. And then finally, on the benefits, is the benefits for clubs, our constituent bodies and our counties, and indeed the RFU, because we're all this is a team effort. We're all in this together. It is really looking at that player retention piece. If this project is meant to get more players playing rugby and for longer, and to retain more players in the game, that is exactly what it's for. And this is a real opportunity for us to be able to do that. We've seen some successes in the age grade game in terms of registration, and indeed an acceptance that has taken a couple of years to get anywhere near what it is now. And we accept that will be the case in adult player registration as well. But it does give us a real opportunity to support that transition from age grade rugby into senior rugby. Again, getting more of that pipeline of players coming through out of age grade rugby, those 180,000 players that we're seeing registered in that game now, and that part of the game now, and getting more of them playing senior rugby. It allows us, really importantly, to get a more accurate and better understanding of the health of the game, which we can then, all of us, use to make an impact. So, for example, the RFU will be able to better support CBs with targeted funding, and in turn clubs, because we'll have a much, much better understanding and more accurate data that will tell us what our players are doing, and indeed what they're not doing, which we may indeed, maybe potentially want to get them to play a little bit more if they're potentially not. And that is where I will leave the benefit side of things and hand over to Ian, who's going to take you through that, the exercise, which is the focus that we're in now. Over to you, Ian.
Thanks, Matt, and hello all again. So what do you need to do now? So hopefully you guys will have seen the CGU and some comms that went out this week and last week. But I want to give you a bit of background around why. So if we focus on the triangle on the right, so we have a large amount of records in GMS, and a number of those records, so the big red bit, have no value at all. So that's stuff like first name A, surname B, that type of stuff. No club attached, no email address, and that's all from legacy data back in the day when we were on different platform and legacy data from in the past. What we really need to do ahead of July is focus on adult players, and we have a large number of records, so that amber part, where there are players that have accounts. So if you are an existing registered player in the RFU leagues, then you will have a GMS account. Now, obviously, you guys know that most players will not know they have a GMS account. But they may or may not have an email address associated to that account. So we know there are a large number of records in the system where there are players with email addresses, but they are not verified. And what we need to do is move those records to become verified. Now, verification is a simple thing that we do in many other spheres. When you create an account for something, you verify your record. And that the current player records in GMS, we have that small green verified amount there at the top of that triangle. So we have a small amount of players that have verified records, but we really need to have that team effort as a game to move those players from amber to green to get them verified. So by doing that, it will ensure, by doing that now, and that's why we're starting early, it will ensure a smoother experience for players when they need to register themselves to play rugby for next season. So by encouraging your players to log into GMS now, it's going to make it much easier from July onwards. And also, a couple of bits around the email data and the data of your players. It helps to keep your club GDPR compliant by making sure that you have up-to-date details of your membership within your GMS system, and ultimately we've got to really focus on this legacy data. That's the biggest issue here. So we've got new processes in place right now where it significantly improves the quality of records that are being created, which is a real positive. But with just this legacy data, we've really got to focus on these effectively registered players to ensure they've got a verified email address. So there's the key point to remember from tonight. So the key point to remember, if there is one thing you take away from tonight's session, it's that your players need an up-to-date verified email address on their GMS account. And we are focusing at this point in time, from now until July, on current effectively registered players. So I'm going to show you now in GMS as club admins where you can go to support this task and make it a bit easy for you guys. And we'll talk about a bit of the resources that are available in a bit, but I just want to focus on showing you where to go so you've got a bit of a visual. So we're in my favorite club, Jelly Bellies. It's a fake club, so don't worry. So it looks slightly different to probably some of your clubs in terms of numbers. But what we're looking at is making sure that you're in the player management tile. Now to navigate to that, you see the 9-grid iron on the top left-hand corner of the screen. If you click that, you just make sure you click the player management tile. Now, obviously, you'll need the relevant permissions to be able to see that, but that's where you need to head to. So we're on the dashboard for player management, and you'll see there's some really helpful dashes here around adult player email status and missing adult player data. So in your clubs, this number could be this low, but it will more than likely be a lot higher. Quick win for you guys as administrators to get the ball rolling is if I clicked on these 9 records that say they're unverified. So this will take me to 9 records these individuals all have an unverified email address. Now I want to prompt those players to verify their email records. So I can select the players on the left-hand side, click select all, and then click send verification email. That's really important to note that that email will get sent to whatever email address is associated to that player account, which is in this email column here. So key bit to put this into club perspective is you're going to have to work within your club, to communicate within your club, to work with, it may be yourself as a data officer will need to work with the coach to check that, or coaches or team captains, players, to make sure that, and every club will be different, but to make sure they've got the right account. Because if this gets sent, you can send this now, it takes a 20-second job. That's cool. It can get the ball rolling straight away. But what you will find is if that address is no longer the email address that that person uses, or it's slightly wrong, then they will not receive an email. So couple of the bits there. We're going to head back to the dashboard. The other bit you can do, you've got these other statuses. So you've got missing. So that's if a player email address is missing from their account. It's also got a list of duplicates. So key thing to note here is as a club administrator, you can see a duplicate account if that player is within your club. If the player has, let's say, has been a player at your club, but then at some point in time has created another account to do a course because because they're a PE teacher, then they may have two records, and that is where you as a club administrator wouldn't necessarily be able to see the second account. So you would need to submit a help request on the Community Rugby Help portal, and that will help you to, the team, the GMS Service Desk team will support with that query and get that resolved. So I'm going to show you now, if we just take these 9 records here. So you as club administrators can edit an email address yourselves. So let's say you've sent out a spawn message to all your players or WhatsApp to all your players. You've been sent a list of name and email addresses, and then let's say you've just done one. So Josephine Blogs has sent us one. We click on their name, and out pops out on the right hand side this email address part. You can edit that, click save, job done. That you can also edit multiple records. So say you've got 2, 3 records or more, you can select, we're going to select 2 in this case. We've got 2 records there. We can then edit them. So you can edit the first one, click next, edit the second one, click save, and then those emails are good in that space. You can then send that email verification to those players. So pretty good process, pretty easy process. That process, the hard part, and this is the challenge for all clubs, is that's going to be different in every club in how you can get those, how you chase those players, how you get those contacts from the players, and how you work that through as a club. So one to think about now. Maybe some of you are already planning that. Maybe you might want to share how you're doing that in the chat. That'd be cool. But it will vary for different clubs. Right, I'm going to go share back into the presentation now. So again, key point to remember, make sure your existing players will need to be able to log into their GMS account, and they will need that email address to be verified. So alongside all the work we're doing, and James alluded to this at the start, there's a really detailed, strong comms, campaigns and engagement plan. So it's 3 pillars. So we've got training and support out in the game, and that's everything from webinar program to GMS drop-in sessions at regular intervals, and various other methods that I'll talk through in a second on the next slide. We've also got a strong marketing campaign that is going to target players, and in various ways, using influencers from across the game as well, some paid social media. We're going to build some case studies around this as well, but a really strong campaign to get to players to support this messaging, which is really important, and hopefully something that you guys in clubs will support and help promote, especially some of the paid social media activity. And then central to all this is all the communications and the strong communications plan around this. So that's kick-started now with this first phase. This first phase is really crucial. It may seem like the boring phase, but just to get players logging in, making sure their email addresses, but it's so crucial to help from July onwards. And you'll see there's regular cadence around the community game update, social media messaging, announcements via Community Rugby Help, and also direct emails. So many of you will have received direct CRM this week. They will continue on a regular monthly basis as well. So you'll see that. So I've just talked through some of the communications there, but just want to really highlight to make it clear where you can find that support. So we have Community Rugby Help. It's your one-stop shop for information and support around this. And Sam and Laura will pop the link to Community Rugby Help if you've not heard of it before. It's a lot of information in there, and there is a tile specifically on the front in the announcements that talks that has everything you need around adult player registration, as well as the link to the latest community game update. So within that community game update is all the resources, and I'll show some examples of how clubs have utilized them in a minute. We've created how-to guides around this first task. So what I've just shown you on screen, that is available in short form. There's a couple of clips that can really help you to drive this round, and we've created a adult player registration playlist as well. So any future content that we make will be popped in there, as well as this YouTube video as well. So that we're recording now. So look out for that. And alongside this, I have a network of 6 GMS support trainers across the country, and I believe some of them are probably on this session. So hello to you all. These guys are supporting primarily 99% delivering online. Sessions to support the game, and we've created a specific session around data. First half of that session focuses on this task around how to do it for clubs that are unsure and need a bit of extra help, and also the second part for those clubs that just want to go a bit further and really cleanse not just players but really get on top of their data as a club in its entirety. And on the right-hand side there, you see that it says local delivery team focus weeks. So between now and July, we've got 4 real focus weeks where we're really coming together as a team, and that's to support you guys in the game to do this task. So there's a period of four weeks. Some of you may have had some phone calls from some of the club developers making contact with you guys, just making sure you're confident with what you need to do, how you might be doing it, where you can access resource, maybe signposting you to this webinar that we're doing now, but that will be ongoing as we go forward as well. At the bottom there, we see the cutoff from the blue. Just want to reiterate what we mentioned earlier, that we're really using our platform for rugby user groups. So we have a number of user groups that really testing some of the processes around what we're doing around adult player registration. We've got a real thorough testing program in place as we build towards July. So testing all the processes work. It's the most thorough that we've ever done, which is really, really positive, and rightly so for such a big change, important change. So we're really going through that, and we are conducting some player testing as well, which is really exciting. So really looking forward to that, and we're doing that at various clubs at different levels of the game, which is really exciting. And alongside that, this is the first webinar of our webinar program to support with key information at the right time, when we can share what we want you to really focus on as we move forward, and once things are decided from a governance perspective as well. Just wanted to share some examples that we've seen over the last couple of weeks from clubs who've been using our ready-made content. So we've got content that's out there. It's all in that community game update, which can be found on Community Rugby Help. All good examples there. I'm just looking at that. Catherine's doing a great job at West Hartlepool, so well done, Catherine. But some good examples from CBs championing this process as well with their clubs and supporting clubs around this, and also local clubs taking the initiative and promoting on socials. And if it's one thing we all know is that as players we like social media, and most people do in general, don't they? So some good examples there, and hopefully as we move forward, we'll share some more examples of how people are going about it in their clubs, and we'll bring that to life. Every club's different. Every club's got different sizes. Everyone decides to do it in different ways. So there's some good. We'd love to hear that good practice as well, and do share that with us as well as we move forward, because it's a real team effort. Us guys supporting you, but equally you guys, the volunteers, the people that doing this hard work for that medium benefit it's a short-term pain for medium-term benefit as we move forward. So we really appreciate all the work that you're going to do to help us with this, which is excellent. So we're just alongside this, and obviously you will have seen, we are doing incentives alongside club-based incentives. So you'll see that tonight we've incentivized this webinar. So there'll be a lucky winner tonight for the Gilbert kit voucher, which is exciting. But as we move forward throughout this period through to July, we'll really be focusing on some club-based incentives. So we will communicate that at the right time, but do look out for that as we move forward. And coming soon then, guys. So this is not the next time you'll hear from us. So hopefully, as I alluded to before, we've got that clear, real, regular communications out to the game. So this will not be the next time you hear from us. So do look out for those comms that go out. But the next time that we have a engagement session together, will be the 24th of April there. So just wanted to get that in early so you can make a note in your diaries and to attend. But that's the next time we will come together, and we'll have some more information to share with you at that point in time. And again, I know I've stressed it so many times, but I just wanted to end on this before we try and take some questions that have come in as we move forward. But the key thing to take away tonight is that your players need an up-to-date verified email address on their GMS account. So, and we are focusing only on, at this point in time, effectively registered players. So players that are existing in your club that are already registered. We are not focusing on players who have not got a GMS account at this point. Cool. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to pull some questions out because we've got so many on. I just want to make sure we have a nice experience for everyone. So I will do my best at asking some questions and just hosting this, and Matt and the team will come through. So I'm just reading through some bits. Okay, so question in, I'm not sure who it's from, so apologies there, but the question is, how have people been able to register this season but have unverified emails? When you register for other organizations, you have to verify your email immediately. Does GMS not do this? The answer to that is it doesn't automatically. You would need to verify it. So when you have your account, there's a big red box on your dashboard on the top left that says verify your email. So we need to make sure that you're encouraging your players to click that button. You can't really miss it, that box. So it's really worthwhile looking for that. Next question in, one for Matt. Where do we stand with guest players at level 9? Matt, I don't know if you wanted to take that away or.
Yeah, I can take that. Oh, James, go on, James, you go. I can see your hand up. Go for it.
So we completely understand that sometimes there's a lad or lass standing on the side of the pitch who didn't mean to play, and at a level 10 game gets persuaded to put the boots on in the boot and play. Love that. Understand it happens. That individual's got 24 hours to then go on their phone and register to play, having played. They don't have to do it before they step on the pitch. Ideally, they would, but of course we understand the reality. If it's a more deliberate, on Friday night, you work out, I haven't got a scrum half, and you ring someone who hasn't been in the club for 5 years and you persuade them to play, well, then they just register. And it takes about 4 minutes to do. And once they're done, they're done. And if they don't play again, fine. But we know they played, and you as a club might be able to reach out to them in the future, and they're on the system. And it's as simple as that. And I'd just like to reassure you from the answers I was giving in the text there, which I was trying to keep up, is I assure you, it takes just a couple of minutes to do this on your phone. It's really simple. And if they're a generation who understand that's how they live, it's dead easy. I also admit, if they're an older generation, yes, of course, it's going to take them longer if they're not quite so savvy with that mobile phone tech. Has that answered the question?
Yep, thank you, James. Thank you. Someone just has put in around what does the player receive from the verification email sent? So I'll take that one. So player gets sent the email. It literally says to verify. Click on the button. They can log in. At the bottom of that email is also their username credentials they can use. So that's what they'll see. They log in. Then away they go. They then verify that email. If you have a look at the video on YouTube, it's about 3 minutes long. There is a visual on there of what a player receives, exactly what they receive. So take a look at that sort of midway through. It's only 3 minutes, so it shouldn't take you long to have a look. And that's similar to some of the others. I've covered another question there, so that's good. Yes, we will be. So all these questions, some questions that are coming in, we'll be taking any that we can't answer now. We'll be taking away with us, and we will be producing an FAQs. So they will be housed on Community Rugby Help, and you'll be able to see them. So every question we will come back with an answer. Question in here is you have someone has 2 players that are quite that are a bit older. They don't have emails and they don't do social media. How will the system handle them? But this is ultimately where, as a club, you will need to support those players. So potentially that could be there is no way for them to not have an email address in this scenario associated to their account. So maybe that's you sitting down with them, creating them an email account for this purpose, taking them through the registration process together. And that's some solutions there, what you could do as a club. And most people have to are confident in registering online. Appreciate the minority may not have an email address, but that's maybe where you guys as a club could support that activity. Okay, Matt, Brian, just one for you, maybe just to clear up that's come in. Just can players register for more than one club? Is that one we want to take away? You don't want to take that one at this point in time?
So really important, I guess, to re-stress that the focus obviously this evening is to look at the exercise that we're in now, which many people have commented upon that chat, which is getting the emails sorted for players. All of this work, as James highlighted at the start, is subject to council oversight and council approval. The current path is that those male players playing at level 9 and below, and by below we mean everything below that, and in the women's game level 5 and below, they'll be able to register and play for 2 clubs at any one time. And they'll be able to change those clubs with frequency as we would expect in those games, and that level of rugby where and more flexibility is required, which again I think has come out a few times this evening. Above that, so counties 2, level 8 and old money and above, and in the women's game, national challenge 1 and above, which is level 4 and old money and above, they will be only able to register for one club unless they are eligible for a student or a services pass.
Thanks, Matt. Just to bring it back to some of the verification messages and questions. Some people have been asking around GMS. So the email, sometimes it goes into spam. One thing to be clear in your messaging as clubs is to ensure that players do check their junk box initially, just in case they haven't received it. There is an article that Laura will post in the chat to me just to support players that may have an internet service provider where they are struggling to do that. And just some instructions that you could help with that player. But it is it does happen, but not like it did a few years ago. So if you've not looked at it for a little while, it doesn't happen as often, but it can do occasionally. But there is an article to support that. Cool. I'm just going to take a couple more. Okay, so what exactly does a verified email address actually mean? So let's so you have you've made an account, you've got an email address in there, but we need to know, well, the system needs to know as well that is that person. So naturally, when you do this and this is not just in this system, this is on any sort of online thing that you register for nowadays, you have to verify your email address to verify that it's you. So by clicking verify, and you're verifying that email is yours, and that it is an active email that you use. So that is what that actually means, hopefully in a bit more layman's terms, to just keep it simple. Yeah, okay, so yeah, just challenge of, I've seen a few things just around the challenge with emails going into junk again. Keep checking that junk. So and we've got that article to help support that part. And yes, and I understand that. So yeah, ultimately you're going to have to, the email that's sent out is 48. So when you send that verification email from the system, it lasts 48 hours before you before it expires. So, think of all the other things that you sign up for. Some stuff lasts 30 minutes. This lasts for 48 hours. So in that messaging, and this is where that messaging is important with your players, it's making sure that they realize to look for it. So, sending that WhatsApp to the team, making sure that they know it's coming and how and when they need to look at it, or, looking at some different examples. So, there's a couple of clubs have said they're going to do this on a training night. And we've got the nice summer nights coming, hopefully. I'm fed up of these rainy nights at the moment, but having a barbecue with the team, making sure that there's a bit of support, admin support from within the club around helping players do this activity, sitting down with them and going through it. Likewise, some clubs, you'll choose to do this remotely, or that's the way you have to do it. I've seen some good examples of some conversations happening in some of the clubs via WhatsApp and about the need to do this task, and that's, and there's so many different ways to skin this cat, really. Can you track the people that you've sent email verifications to on GMS? Good question. I will take that away and double check that. I don't want to give you the wrong answer. But they will always sit so in that unverified email record. You can, Laura, I don't know if you want to come off mic if you've got a quick answer. If not, don't worry.
You can't actually track from yours, so you don't have like a sent inbox that you have, or sent box like you do in your normal emails. The only way you can actually do that is if you were to go into the user's communication history and just check to see that it's been sent. But yeah, we haven't actually got a current way of checking and tracking emails that we've already sent out, unfortunately, at this time. Does that answer the question, Ian? Is that what you needed?
Thank you, Laura. Thank you.
No problem.
Can we delete players now who have left us and stopped playing? Absolutely. You can, if they've left your club or stopped playing, you can remove them. Likewise, sadly, you may have some deceased players that are no longer with you. You can remove them. For those players that are deceased and you want to completely remove them from the system, then please submit a help request via Community Rugby Help, and the service desk team will deal with that query for you guys. So and pick that up. Excellent. Just going through a few more. Try and get us through as many as we can. Just a question there around a high percentage of players being unaware of GMS and what it is. So that's where you guys as clubs need to utilize the ready-made content that we've got, get that messaging across to your players within that club, and really ensure that everyone in your club understands. So that's everyone from, key committee members as a club. This is a club thing, right? This is a key activity. So making sure that all your committee are aware of this task, making sure that your relevant coaches, captains of teams, etc., team managers, understanding of what is required, what is needed, and sharing that information. Now you'll see that there's on some of our ready-made content, there is QR codes linking to key information, and you might have seen some of the local delivery teams have been sharing some QR codes that take you direct to different things, so that's useful. But really, the main hub for you guys is Community Rugby Help and that adult player registration within that, and ultimately that's the place. If you're really stuck and you need support, then that's where we've got our service desk team. So there's a little button at the top where you can, if you can't find what you need and you need some support, then you can submit a help request and the team will help that with you guys. Question coming in, just where can I get the ready-made comms? So again, that's really easy to find. So it's on our Community Rugby Help. It's a one-page web page with that links you off to various different content, pretty much about everything. You can type in the search bar at the top what you're looking for. You can look at the content within the tiles. It's quite intuitive, and you should be able to find where you're going. But if you're stuck and you're really stuck, you can submit a help request there.
Can I just add to that, Ian?
Yep.
There is with the emails, when you go into everyone and you can select the people that have unverified emails, there is actually a button that comes up at the top. It says send email, and off that it does actually say send verification email. So that's an automated thing. So you don't have to go in and create a template or type anything out. It will automatically send a link to the users that you've selected. And there are widgets and they're saying emails that have been unverified. So it's quite a straightforward process.
Cool. And just one on passwords, Laura. If you can say, question is, can admins, do they have the ability to change passwords?
No, they don't have the ability to change passwords. There's not an actual place that you can go in and change the password, but obviously if you've got login details, you can go in and with the permission of the user, then you can go in and reset the password, but it's not necessarily a thing you can do.
And probably
does that make sense? Like, yeah. We don't have that necessarily.
Yeah, so probably
capability,
with most login stuff, when you forget your password, what you can do as an administrator is inform the player of their username or email address associated to their account. You can share that with the player, and if the players forgotten the password, never logged in, etc., they can click on that forgot password button. But if they are really stuck, that's when they'll need to submit a help request. And that is why we are starting this process early, ahead of the season, to give you guys enough time to get through this as much as possible.
Yeah, that's something we can do on the back end, but unfortunately not club admins.
Yeah. So other question there, is GMS going to be made more mobile friendly? So yes, the platform is mobile optimized for this specific process for players. We're fully aware that every player you can imagine is going to be using mobile to do this, and that is exactly what we'll be doing, which is really positive, and it's easy, functional, and intuitive. So really good there. Again, just a couple of questions just around, what's that content of the message that goes out when you hit send in the verification email? Basically, the message goes out saying, do you want to, I can't remember the specific wording, but it says, basically, you can't miss it. It says verify your email, and there's a button that you press. The example is in that YouTube video on there, which you can access via Community Rugby Help. It's within there, but you can't really miss it. It is literally, it's right there. A good example from a friend of mine who is an administrator at a club, did this task within 5 minutes. 5 players had done this, had verified their email record, and that was without communicating to the players first when they sent that out. So that was a positive. But you need to really, one key thing I'd encourage you guys to do is think about as a club how you're going to operationalize this within your club, because it will be different across your different clubs and the different size clubs that you are and how many adult players that you have. So have a think around how you do that, but the ready-made content to support you to do that is all available on Community Rugby Help. Cool. I am going to close the session there. I just want to thank you for all those questions. Anything that we didn't get through, because I appreciate there's a lot of questions in the chat. But anything we didn't get through, we will be going through it, and we will be posting an FAQs page on our Community Rugby Help. And we will communicate that to all you guys that have registered. When the recording's ready and it's on our Platform for Rugby YouTube channel under our adult registration playlist, we will also share that with you soon. And you will all be emailed because you've all registered this. And then as soon as possible, we will also communicate the winner of the Gilbert kit package voucher. So exciting things to come. Please look out for that further information. Please look at community game update. If you don't get it within your club, maybe speak to the key roles within your club who may get it. But do remember that if you go onto Community Rugby Help, it will be on there as well. So if your club are a club that don't tend to pass things on all the time, you can always access everything that you need on Community Rugby Help, which is a really useful place to go. And also, if you've got any good feedback stories or it's going well, we want to hear that as well, because we want to share that with other clubs, because there'll be a club like that, whichever club that feeds in, that is doing in the same boat. We want to share as much good practice as possible. So do submit that to the Community Rugby Help service desk, and we will look to share some good examples as we move forward. Anyway, thank you for your time. I've talked a lot tonight. Appreciate you coming on the call. Appreciate everyone's input in tonight, and good luck with completing this task. We look forward to our next webinar together. Really looking forward to sharing more with you in the future, but just remembering that the key point to remember from tonight is players need an up-to-date verified email address on their GMS account. and all that support that you need to help is on Community Rugby Help. Thank you so much, everyone.